you very honestly in your book explain another problem that I think affected the UPA. You had great achievements, I don't deny it, and you've mentioned some of them. But no one actually realized how much this government had performed. And in your book you say, and I'm quoting you, Manmohan Singh never bragged about his achievements. He genuinely believed it was best to let the results speak for themselves. But because neither he nor his party projected these achievements, they never formed part of the political discourse. So in a very real sense, Dr. Manmohan Singh's, and I'd admit it's a winning shyness, it's a winning modesty, actually ended up costing his government recognition of what they'd achieved. He came across as a winning and nice, humble person, but the government, as a result, came across as a government that had done zero. He cost you recognition.
No, I have no doubt whatsoever that any criticism of the way that government handled the projection would be valid. I mean, I think it was handled poorly. I wasn't responsible for that part, although on every occasion I said so. But I think it was handled poorly. And
But you must
governments learn. I mean,
you must have been gnashing your teeth seeing this happen around you.
No. I mean, I had not, even I had not recognized the extent to which the public had become much more amenable to being persuaded that there is some massive wrongdoing going on.
But you know,
I mean, look, in the case of the CAG, I mean, it's interesting. He makes the point that, there's no real way of knowing what the price that could have been achieved is. And he gives 3 different numbers, 2 big ones and 1 humongous one. But he fails to mention that the guy who led his own team concluded that this big number is mythical, and he produced a number which was kind of 1/10.
But to be fair, that got picked up by the media, and this gentleman was interviewed several times. But unfortunately, his dissenting note never really hit home with the audience. It's not that the media didn't pick it up, because I remember the man, I remember interviewing him myself. It's just that the overall defense that you had, which is so credible, never got rammed home.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, it was badly, I have no doubt whatsoever that the projection was badly handled.
In fact, something else you touch upon in your book, to me was particularly striking. You lifted an incredible 138 million people out of poverty. It's never happened before. And in the next 6 years under dear Mr. Modi, it hasn't happened again. And I'll rub that in, it hasn't happened again. And yet, the Congress party, which is supposedly a political animal, didn't want to claim credit for this achievement. I mean, that is bizarre. It's almost...
Yeah, I agree with you that I mentioned this exactly in the book. In fact, this is one part where you can't blame me for not actually saying it. I mean, I said it all the time to all the press on several interviews. I have to say that, I don't think the press actually wanted to know. They're too keen. I mean, if you've got a government guy at the other end, I mean, the thing to do is to show what a fool either he is or the government is or whatever. And I'm not sure that we were able to at least carry conviction that, listen, these are real numbers. Now, on the political side, I think I can understand why maybe the Congress party didn't want to make a big issue of this. I mean, one is...
hang on a second. Why? Why do you not want to make a big issue of lifting 138 million out of poverty?
I'll tell you. I think some of them probably felt that the underlying message that we've jacked up the growth rate and people are coming out of poverty sort of smacks of what they thought was the BJP's Shining India slogan.
But this is even more bizarre.
I agree with you.
The country's doing well. People are improving, but we don't want to claim credit because it sounds like we're sounding like our opposition.
But I share your view. It's unfortunate, but it is factually correct that they were not actually that willing to come forth. Now, there is one other reason, which maybe has some justification, and that many of them thought that if the Planning Commission says there are 138 million people who are no longer poor, there's some plot beneath this to deny them benefits on the grounds that these benefits are the poor, and now there aren't that many poor, so we're going to take away your benefits. So we finesse that by saying, look, these benefits will not be related to whether you're above the poverty line or below. They will go to the bottom X%, whoever they are.
Montek, do you know the truth? If Narendra Modi was your prime minister. He'd have bragged about it till kingdom come. He's anyway bragging about achievements that UPA did, but he's claiming they're his. Aadhaar, Jan Dhan. You simply, as a government, let yourselves down because there was no great communicator. And more importantly, there was no one in the political party behind you, Congress, that actually understood what you'd achieved. And if you don't understand that these are phenomenal achievements, you don't sell them, you don't get credit for them. And so they happen and they pass, and the country says, what a useless government, because no one's realized you've done a lot. Honestly, at the end of the day, you people let yourselves down.
I've said several times that I agree with you that the projection was awful. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it's a major failure, and hopefully parties should take a lesson. I think the real lesson is that the public and the media should be very clear that you judge achievement on the basis of quantifiable targets. You said you're going to do something, you measure whether you're doing it or not. You don't just go by slogan. Now, the UPA at least said, look, we're going to jack up the growth rate and we're going to reduce poverty, and it delivered on both those points.